Everybody, Ralph Havens here. And so the Eye for an Eye thing came to me, but different than you might think. So, but I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. First, I just wanted to talk a little bit about being led by spirit or God, or like God's will, or in the flow of the universe. And I was doing my meditation this morning. I did about 2.5 hours of what I do, and it tends to be about 2 hours to 2.5 hours every morning, and then a bit more in the evening. And it's because it's what I've been doing since I've been a kid. I've been looking for answers, you know, and so to know the truth, and to this whole idea that you're going to die someday, and it's like something's been driving me, and and I was thinking about when I first got this sweatshirt. I got it from my good friend in Vancouver, and I basically just took it because I liked it. I was on vacation, and when I first was on an airplane to get to Vancouver, British Columbia for the first time, I I was in San Francisco at a layover, and right at the gate there was a Pete's Coffee, but there was also a C's Candy, and I just had this feeling like I think I'm gonna live up there. I'm supposed to see something. I think I'm gonna live up there. I just had this feeling, and I totally fell in love with Vancouver and the Pacific Northwest. But I had an issue. I was in San Diego, and I had a thriving physical therapy, integrative manual therapy practice, and a house in Mission Hills, and a life down there. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll just get rich enough, and I'll be able to have this practice in San Diego, kind of doing its own thing, and supporting my life up in Vancouver. And so that was my idea. But on this vacation, I took this sweatshirt from my friend because I liked it, and he's kind of like that. He always gives me stuff, and so I was sitting on this bench, and it was the end of a vacation. It was about 10 days long. I tended to take one a year at that point, and in Vancouver, and I was thinking, man, I've met my goals, my money goals, my business goals. Life is good, but I didn't have a girlfriend, and hadn't had a girlfriend for a long time. But I had just gone on a running date with Jen. She had been taking an exercise class called Feldenkrais, and I was taking the same class in my clinic, and that was a kind of synchronous, serendipitous kind of thing, because one of my clients told me about somebody that did Feldenkrais, and I liked Feldenkrais a lot. I had those kind of workers working in my office, and so I met with her, and then we decided to start having classes in my office. So I started taking them once a week, and Jen knew her, and was her friend, and was working with her, and so she was taking the class, and so there we were for about half a year, and at some point I was like, Jen, but then she was gone, and I thought, oh man, this other guy that was in the class was gone too, and I just had this whole thing going in my head that, oh, she hooked up with that guy, it's all done, I can't believe it. I finally found somebody to at least ask out, and but then she was just basically in Egypt and traveling around on a vacation for many weeks, and so when she came back, I was like, hey, you want to go for a running thing, run with me the day before I go on vacation to Vancouver. So she did, and then the whole vacation I was thinking about her, and I thought, oh man, that would be so cool. So on the last day of my vacation, I was thinking about my life, and like, golly, I've got everything I want, but I don't have a girlfriend. And I was reading this book, Eat, Pray, Love, and I finished it, and I tore out the last page because it was blank, and I wrote down what my life would be like with Jen, and our 2 kids, and in the Pacific Northwest, and everything about it. And then I just put it in my pocket, and I didn't think about it. Long story short, we ended up going out right away when I got back, and then it was on. And so then the way we got to Vancouver, and then the Pacific Northwest and Bellingham, was definitely not the way I would have predicted or wanted. It's like there was a lot of turmoil, but every step, it was like the next step. Because when I lost my health, and then after 2 years got it back and figured out what that was all about, in one instant, literally one instant, our friend Ben down there told us about natural building cob houses, earthen houses, and we went online and saw a training program for 3 weeks in outside of Ashland, Oregon, in the Applegate Valley, Southern Oregon. And in an instant, we plopped down a few $1,000s and said, okay, we're going to take 3 weeks off. I was like, I didn't know how to do that. I had never taken 3 weeks off in my life. And so Jen did all the work and just got our house Airbnb'd and got a friend to manage it. And we hit the road. And by the time we were hitting the road, our friends in Portland said, hey, we're moving to Copenhagen for the year. And if you want, you can just stay in our house for free in Portland. And we're like, wow, well, let's just take the whole summer. So we Airbnb'd our whole house and just kept minimal stuff going in San Diego, but we're shutting down our office. We shut down our office, and we sold our Audi and our Toyota wagon and bought a 4-wheel drive truck and a tent. We hadn't been camping. I remember the first time I went camping, heading up to that earthen house for 3 weeks. We were going to be sleeping in the dirt and working outside for long days. I was scared because I was like, we're going to live outside? Little did I know we were going to live outside for a long time later down the road. But basically, everything was happening on its own accord, on its own time schedule. And it was all coming to be. It was just different than I would have predicted, different than I would have wanted. And because it was a lot of stress too, you know, my business had fallen apart in San Diego for people stealing from me and all sorts of trauma and all sorts of Medicare not paying for a year. And yet I was paying my therapist, you know, $50 an hour and benefits for that year. And I was like taking money out of my house, and it's like, oh my God, the strife of it all. And but there we were, every step was another level of it. And if I would have known then what I know now about being in the present moment, how to access the infinite, it would have saved me a lot of grief, a lot of grief. But and that's what I'm going to tell you about in a minute, because it's so powerful the way you can be led by spirit. And when you think about it, it's like, you know, the sun's coming up a little later now, and it's getting just a little cooler already in the Northwest. And, you know, the earth tilts just so every single year, and the sun changes when it rises each day, and then goes to, when the sun sets every day, it goes down at certain times. And it's all so perfectly timed. It's like nobody, not us, we can't change when the sun comes up or when it goes down, or when the leaves fall, or when the leaves come back, or when the clouds come, or when the rain falls, or when you know, it all does this on its own. It's going to do this when we're gone too. And so over the years, I've been tapping more and more into how do we use that, like just be in that flow. It's kind of like row, row, row your boat song. Flow gently down the stream. Life is but a dream. It's like, it doesn't say don't row. It doesn't say just sit there and do nothing. It definitely doesn't say go sit on the shore and just like watch the world go by. It says row, row, row your boat, but the stream is going. And so how do you stay in the stream instead of like fighting it or say, no, not that rock, you know? So all these ideas are part of this whole process that I've been going through and with my clients, and finding more and more direct ways, because my thing is to help people with their healing, with their physical healing, you know, chronic autoimmune conditions and anxiety conditions, and inner game stuff related to business, and just stuff that's in the way of being happy and getting the life people want. And a lot of it is about their health, because that's what I saw for myself and what I saw for clients for the past 35 years. And it's been my thing. And so, but how do you tap into that thing that's happening throughout time? Like the tides come and go. Nobody's going to change that. Even though some people are trying to block the sun now because they think it's going to help global warming. It's like, are you crazy? Do you think you're God? But yet Jesus even said, do you not know that ye are gods? And then in the Psalms, it's Psalms or Proverbs, one of those, it said, you are a God. So it's like, okay, but we don't control the tides. but we're we're in this space of we're gods. And so I was thinking about the eye for the eye thing, and I thought, you know, the eye can't see the eye, right? It can just see a reflection of the eye. And so one of the things, and here's what I wish I would have known way back then, because I'd heard about it, but I thought, you can't do that. I'm never in the now. I'm never in the present moment. I'm always thinking about the past or the future. I've always got these worries, and there's always this voice in my head doing this. And I was thinking, what I've been playing with is, it feels like so far the most direct, simple way without technique to access whatever that is, that space, that God, that spirit. And it's of course about being in the present moment. But here's what I would, maybe you might want to consider, is that when when I look at Baden, my little boy, he's like 3 years old now, and Ben too, and I look in their eyes, there's a recognition. Part of it maybe is because part of my DNA is in there, right? But I see myself in his eyes. There's like a recognition. There's like, oh God, I know you. But it's different. It's kind of, if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. You look in their eyes and you can, it's like there's a recognition of something. And when you think about it, when you look at the trees and the way the tides come and go and the way the sun comes up and down at certain times, and all these things are happening on their own accord, and the rain is falling and the trees are growing and then the leaves are falling and then the winter sets in, it's happening on its own accord. And all of that, if you really think about it, it's God, right? It's God. And so it's kind of like recognizing that. And so the way I've been playing with it, and with my clients, we've been going very, very, very deep with it with my one-on-one clients, very deep, very deep. It's a without a technique. And it's noticing. And it's noticing without judging it. Noticing the leaves and the sun and the reflection of the sun and the morning coming up and the night falling. Noticing. Because if you can notice, something starts to happen without a technique, without trying to become enlightened or awakened or healed or get more money. Something starts to happen. And so it's my offering to you is to possibly just consider that when you're seeing the trees and the cars and the people and the insects and the wind blowing through the trees and you're hearing stuff, you're noticing God. And in that moment, you're right at the crest of as things happen. And in that space, in that stillness, you might start to recognize something, but without the words. And it's okay if the mind's doing this. And what I've been playing with my one-on-one clients, and play is the operative word, is letting go of all these judgments and criticisms and beliefs and thoughts about how things are, how things should be, and just noticing. Just noticing. And what I've noticed is we're led to the next thing to do. The thing is, you got to do it though. That's the thing, right? When you're led to the next thing and it's like, oh, here's the next thing to do, you might want to do it. And so that's a whole nother conversation about rowing the boat, gently down the stream. We're in that. It'd be cool to be in the stream, in the flow, and yet there is still this rowing it kind of thing going on. So you might want to play with all this. Let me know what you think. If you like this, click like, click heart. That lets more people see it. If you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, and subscribe and click share if you think somebody might benefit from this. And if you want more healing resources, I have a lot of free resources. How to use a noticing technique that's in a very powerful non-technique sort of way, and how to end anxiety forever, which is what I did for myself many, many years ago, and all sorts of other healing resources. I even have a whole master class on true healing, and there's a way to connect with me if one-on-one sessions would be interesting for you, would be useful, because that is the most direct way to play with this. Where we're going with my one-on-one clients, we're going, and where we're going to be when somebody gets to where we are now, we're not going to be here. We're going to be at the next stepping stone. So look for that, ralphhavens.com/true healing. Grab a bunch of free stuff. Start down this road if you want. And if you like it, share it. And today I'm doing a very special session. We have a great group of people in our coaching group, the Coach's Secret, if you don't know Akbar. And you should. And so we help each other out a lot. And I'm helping out a person today at 3:30. I think it's 3:30 Pacific time. And then later I'll post it on other sites for people just to access, because we're going to be playing with all of this stuff because we help each other out in that group. And I hope this helped you this morning. So let's get out there and live. Let's really live. And let me know what you think. Comment, give me some feedback.